Every day, I set an alarm for 9 p.m. It reminds me to wind down, boil some water, and drink some hot tea. I usually have chamomile or decaf green tea, but the one thing I always add to my tea is Monocora honey. I really love honey, and this is the most delicious honey that I've ever had. Monocora honey is rich, it's creamy, and contains powerful nutrients to support immunity and gut health. And it has 3 times more antioxidants and prebiotics than your average honey. And now it's easier than ever to try Monocora honey. Head to monocora.com/Sally to get $25 off the starter kit, which comes with an MGO 850 Plus Manuka honey jar, 5 honey travel sticks, a wooden spoon, and a guidebook. That's MANUKORA.com/Sally for $25 off your starter kit. Sally and I chose Function because it's the best in the world for testing. It's an all-in-one health platform with over 100 advanced lab tests covering your entire body, 5 times more than the average physical. Comprehensive and focused on critical biomarkers, it offers testing twice a year. Available across the U.S. and super easy to use. It's recommended by Dr. Mark Hyman, Dr. Andrew Huberman, Dr. Casey Means, and hundreds of health experts. Kicking off the summer, Function is sharing their Long Live campaign. Long Live is a celebration of the everyday moments that make life worth staying healthy for. For me, this means long live crewing Sally at ultras and other crazy adventures. This means long live watching our kids cross finish lines and score goals. In the spirit of long live and taking control of your health, get a $100 credit towards your annual membership at www.functionhealth.com/Sally McRae. This $100 credit is only for the first 1,000 listeners. So sign up at functionhealth.com/Sally McRae.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Chew Strong podcast. I am so excited because today we have Mackenzie Ann Ross on the show today. Mackenzie, say hello.
Hello, everyone.
For those of you that are like, well, who's Mackenzie? Why did you bring her on? Well, first of all, it's because she just shares the name of my daughter. So I just had to have her on. No, I'm just kidding. The reason why I have Mackenzie on is because I got to know her through Max. Max and Mackenzie are dating and clearly also best friends. And when I went to Arkansas with Max for a Camelback appearance, I got to learn a lot about Mackenzie and the wonderful woman that she is. So Mackenzie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited for the audience to get to know you, your story, and just really like the team that you and Max are. I think it's the behind the scenes in a relationship. And even as we talk about being athletes at that level is always so intriguing and really interesting. And so I think that our audience will love hearing from you. I want to give a big shout out to everyone that has started running. For those of you that showed up for your training today, well done. Thanks for having me and Mackenzie in your ear today. All right, Mackenzie, we are going to dive in. I do first have to say that we should let our audience, so you and I have already been talking for like an hour.
Yes. Like, we should probably start this
Yeah,
now.
we should probably start the podcast. I was like, okay, we probably could have hit record. Well, maybe for like the last 15 minutes. The first 40 minutes, no one needs to know that stuff.
Right. Secrets of the trade.
Yeah, secrets of the trade. But yeah, I think that in the little bit that I have gotten to know you, a couple things like have stood out to me. Like first of all, the great impression that you clearly have on Max. He adores you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to start off this podcast by reading a response. I asked him a question about you this morning.
Oh, that's so nice.
Okay. I asked him a question about you this morning, and it was so precious and just a really beautiful picture of one, even why I like wanted you on here. Cause I having spent time with Max and a little time I've gotten to spend with you, I love the both of you. I think you guys are incredible.
He's great.
And what you guys are building is amazing. And,
I wonder if you asked him the question before or after I brought him a green juice this morning. I wonder if it was before or
the
after.
timestamp.
Right?
Should I tell you the timestamp? Well, actually, before I read this question, I'd also like everyone to know that Mackenzie is a Nike trainer, a head coach at Barry's Boot Camp, which we'll have you explain in a little bit. She's training for her first marathon. Second marathon, the OC Marathon, which is this weekend.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Wild. The day before you leave for Cocodona.
I leave for Cocodona that day, 2 hours later. So I run and then get on a plane.
That's the true ultra life right there. And then she runs her own training and fitness business. And you're also a nutritionist. You help people with their
like
nutrition.
Health coaching. Yeah.
Yeah, health coaching. Yeah. So you do all the things.
All of it.
So that's just that's a little bit of what you do. We'll talk about the whole other side that goes into being supportive. I had actually told Eddie this before I asked you on. I was like, I feel like Mackenzie is such a great example, and also just someone else that Eddie could totally relate to.
Right.
Because you are so strong and powerful in who you are as a person. And I know for me, because of who Eddie is, it's why I'm able to achieve and do the things that I want to do.
Right.
And I know that that's how Max feels about you too.
Yeah.
But it's way more rare that you get highlighted. And so it was so cute the night that we went to go meet up for barbecue with you guys. It was either earlier in the day or the day before. I told Max, I was like, I really want to have Mackenzie on the podcast. And he was so excited. Aww. He was like, oh my gosh, it'd be the best thing ever. It'd be so good. And he's like, I want you to tell her. I want you to ask her. Like, I just want to see her face. Like, he was just like, the way his excitement for you is really precious. Yeah. So I think just being able to highlight how much you guys support and root for each other is really awesome. Because I think that at the end of the day, we're better together.
For sure.
Men and women, we have our strengths, we have our weaknesses, but when we're together supporting each other in all that, it's amazing what we can do.
Yep.
And I think you guys are just an incredible example of that. So do you want to hear the question I asked him? This is like the sweetest. So this is how we're going to kick it off. For those of you that are Max fans, you are now just going to become a bigger fan, but even more so, at the end of this episode, you'll be a huge Mackenzie fan as well. So I said, hey, Max, you are not allowed to tell Mackenzie that I'm asking you this yet. Not yet. But I want you to tell me something that you wish people knew about Mackenzie. And it could be something that you particularly love about her, or just something that most people don't know that you admire. And here's his response. I'm going to show it to you. Look at how long he wrote.
Oh, wait, it moved.
Oh.
He's not the best texter, so the fact that
he wrote this, like, he thought about this, and like, I was not expecting that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Super, super sweet. So here's Max's response. I think what I most admire about Mackenzie is how much she cares for other people. It's very obvious how much she cares about me and the lengths she's willing to go to do things for me and help me succeed. But that applies to almost everyone else in her life. The way she will go out of her way to do anything for her family, her friends, or my friends is so admirable. Even down to her clients that she trains or the girls at her run club. She's always putting the most effort into helping others grow and succeed. She's so outgoing and thoughtful. She never comes empty-handed. If there's a special occasion or a milestone or achievement, she always comes bearing gifts or acknowledgments. She is also very funny. Probably my favorite thing about her.
We laugh a lot. We laugh a whole lot. That's good. That's so sweet.
Isn't that so sweet? I'll screenshot that and send it to you, although it's on his phone too. But after I read that, I was like, wow. I said, okay, now I'm crying. It did make me tear up because I just feel like that is just such a beautiful picture of who you guys are. Yeah. And for our listeners that haven't watched the King of Moab film yet, that was another way that I got to know you too. And I was like, wow, you're just like all in and on top of it and very confident because not running ultras and being, even for Max being so new in the ultra world, you're very confident at the aid stations and wanting to help him dial things down. But before we actually get into that, I'd love for you, Mackenzie, tell us a little bit just about your athletic background as,
Okay.
and kind of where you started as a kid training in sports and all that.
I grew up outside like any kid in the 90s on a
Yes.
bike, come home when the street lights come on. There was nothing else to do besides go outside. So I grew up with an older brother. So we were always on a bike or playing in trees, or it was one of those situations where he was my best friend, but I wasn't his. And I kind of just followed him everywhere.
What's your age difference?
Like 21 months,
Oh,
almost 2
okay.
years. We're pretty close.
And you guys grew up here in SoCal?
Yeah, in Fountain Valley
Yeah.
as kids, and then moved to Irvine. But we were always outside. It was collecting cans. It was neighbors. It was street hockey. And then I grew up playing soccer all through high school. So I always was exercising or in a gym or, being in a team sport. You have practice every day, and you learn that showing up and doing the practice and doing the work is what gets you the results, right? So that's any kid that plays sports, it's kind of ingrained in you as a young kid.
Totally.
So that's kind of has trickled into my adult life as well. I was going to go to college. I went to OCC for like a year or two, and I found it very hard to decide what I wanted to do at 17, 18 years old. I was like, you guys want me to decide this now? Like, I don't know what I want to do tomorrow or if I'm even going to make it to class tomorrow.
That's such a good point.
So I was a nanny for a long time and always exercising and like doing my own thing. But I became a client at Barry's boot camp, and then they asked me to start teaching there. And then ever since I taught my first class, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. It's so rewarding to not only command a room, but to see that it's for a reason to better other people. That was the biggest thing for me. That's like really where it clicked. I was like, oh, I get to help these people reach their goals, or I get to watch them get faster on the treadmill, or they come up to me at the end of class like, I never lifted 25-pound weights before. So that was it. The feeling of that was something that I can't really explain till this day. So I've just kept on that trajectory and, being in group fitness, and then also now personal training. So one-on-ones and then semi-privates where I'll have like 2 or 3 ladies together. And it's phenomenal. It's like the community that you get to build. And not only are they building like their bodies and their own fitness, they get to talk to other women. They're like, oh, like, what are your kids doing? Or can I borrow your shoes? And everyone becomes friends. And it's like the coolest thing to watch. I'm like, oh, that's because of me? Like, that's kind of crazy.
It's an amazing community.
Yeah, it's super cool.
I'd want to rewind really quick in your story that you just brushed over like no big deal. I have a lot of friends, family that they go to the gym, they go to fitness classes.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that was a client and then suddenly was like, "Hey, do you want to teach the whole class?" So let's kind of pause there because that's just not common.
Yeah,
clearly this is a path that was meant for you.
Yeah,
and I started my own fitness business in 2007.
Yeah,
and it was an all women's outdoor boot camp, and then I also train them in running. I'm still friends with many of those women to this day. It's one of the most rewarding jobs ever.
It's amazing.
It still is like my favorite. So I'm with you in heart on that. But if a client ever jumped out to me is like, wow, it usually there was a couple reasons. Like one, they usually had like some type of athletic background. So right away I was like, whoa, that person's a star in my class. Like what sport do you play? So I remember this one girl, Christine, for example, she was a college soccer player. I knew right away.
You can spot them. You can spot them out of nowhere. The body awareness, the ability to just like go from one to the next.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was it with you, and how was it that you knew, you're showing up because you love to train. You love to have a fit, strong body. Is that right?
Yeah, for
sure.
You were
going.
That and like, of course, mental health, there's so much that goes into it. It's kind of without that, there's no other release of emotion, and a lot of like, it's such a place to just go and get out of your head and focus on what's in front of you. And you're able to, it's almost like meditative for me, at least. I'm sure you can relate to that. And so I was a client there for years. I ended up working at the front desk, and then the girl who was managing it, Nicole, who I still love dearly, she was like, you need to be teaching, like your personality, like you need to get on the mic. And I was so scared.
Really?
It was very vulnerable for me
Yeah.
to be on a microphone. And now there's people that have been going to Barry's for however many years.
Well, I remember when it got really popular. I mean, everyone
what if they
was
don't
doing
think
berries.
I'm good? Or
Yeah.
what if, I don't have, my personality doesn't show? That's hard to put into a class, and it takes a very long time to develop that. So it was, I mean, I look back to some of the first classes I ever wrote. I'm like, how did these people like get through this? It was crazy. But I've been doing it now I'm going to be at 11 years in December
Wow.
with Barry's, but also just private clients and all of that on the side. And it's been amazing.
So do you think that had Nicole not ever gone up to you and said that you wouldn't have found your way? I mean, this idea that sometimes people see things in us that we don't see in ourselves, or it's a friend, it's somebody that's calling you to be brave, basically.
Yeah,
like,
no,
step out.
I don't think so. I almost dropped out during training. I was so I hate this being on a microphone. I hate being in front of people. As much as I maybe have a big personality, to put it on a microphone and to be in front of a class of 30, 40 people and I have to command them. She must have seen it in me, and it just clicked, and it has been the most amazing thing ever since.
That's so beautiful. I think this is why it's so important that we involve ourselves in communities.
For sure.
Because it's really easy to build up these ideas in our head when we have a big goal. There's maybe something that we really love or that we want to do, or even things that you admire, but you're like, I could never do that. But when you're in a community, you are around people that have different personalities, that they get to know us and they see things differently than what we see about ourselves. And you build up these friendships, and it's through those friendships, you become a little bit more confident and those opportunities come. But in your case, it was someone who got to know you for a while.
Right.
And saw a side of you that you maybe didn't see in yourself. Yep. And look at you now, Mackenzie.
I know. It took a long time to develop that skill too. Just teaching classes in that format. It's half treadmill, half weights. And you're teaching two groups at once. So that was very overwhelming. Now I could probably do it in my sleep, but it takes a really long time to develop and to get your personality to show. So it was just, I would say yes to every class. I was like, yes. Reps get the job done. So it was,
you weren't afraid. I mean, it's okay to be fearful, right? But it sounds like you just knew, if I'm going to get good at this, I just got to keep on showing up.
Yes. And the one thing that I did remember was just, you can't reinvent the wheel either. And I think that there's so much fitness online and in group classes and things popping up, but the tried and true exercises, the boring, mundane, whatever is what works.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. And sure, there's different variations, and you can play with the time under tension and whatever, not to get too into it, but you can make it your own, but sticking to that traditional exercise and not trying to reinvent the wheel and adding my personality to it instead is what kind of gets the job done.
I think you just brought a lot of comfort to our listeners hearing that, because I think there's a lot of confusion around fitness right now, especially when you scroll through TikTok.
Right.
It's any girl that throws on a fitness outfit, athletic clothes, is suddenly a trainer.
Yeah.
When really they might just be copying an exercise they saw and have to record it for 5 seconds, right? But which is kind of frustrating for professionals like yourself.
Yeah.
But it is what's the next fad? What's the next workout? What's, now this is going to give me the results that I need. But you just saying the tried and true, the most basic.
You don't need much. You don't need much. Seriously.
Yeah.
It's made to be so much more complicated than it needs to be. And we have access to so much information that I think that it can get overwhelming.
Yes.
And I think a lot of us need to touch a little bit of grass and just go back to the traditional, a lot of things.
Yeah. I fully agree with you in that. Now, you train Max, right?
Yes.
So what is that like? Tell
when
us.
He gets into the weight room.
What is that like? We saw little bits of that. We've seen little bits of that. How did that come about? And what is it like putting him through a session and keeping it focused and serious, or if it does?
No, we are serious, and we usually will have some other friends in there too. Billy and Andrew that paced him through Moab, or Crunchy. We have pals that come along, so it is a fun atmosphere. And I obviously focus on things that are a little more like specific to running, and I don't want to build him too big either. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do, but that's not necessarily the focus. It's not hypertrophy. It's just getting him strong, his joints, his ligaments, and all of those things. It's very hard to get him into the gym when there's 120, 130 mile weeks happening and then a 100-mile bike ride. I'm like, see you later, 8 hours later. So we try to get him in at least once or twice a week, but he listens. He just does what he's supposed to do. Every now and then I get like a little bit, well, I want to do this one. And I'm like, okay, do that one. I don't push him too much, but it's all just to make him a better runner and just add to the talent that he already has.
So it's the program you have for him, is it really specific just to him, like in things that he's maybe needs more mobility or more strength? Or...
Yeah. So it would be more of like if he's having like, Achilles or planters issues, there's certain moves that I'll have him do that complement that. Or if he's, I'm going to be carrying a pack that weighs some of the, I'm like, I don't know how you guys do it. That's enough to like
15 pounds
for me to
sometimes.
quit. Yeah. So stuff like getting his upper body strong, things, all of those things. I mean, there's so much that goes into what you guys do that so we will kind of plan it out according to what race is happening, what he's going to have to be doing, if he's feeling tightness or soreness or weak in certain spots. So it's communication between the two of us, and that's what we work on.
I love that.
Yeah.
And now you just started a run club.
Yes, I did.
Eat My Dust.
Yeah, women's only
Run club, which meets Wednesday night and Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So for all of our Orange County SoCal fans, you can run with Mackenzie. Where we'll put all like the links and stuff.
Yeah. Wednesdays we go to Back Bay, which is beautiful.
Awesome.
It's at like 6 p.m. on Wednesdays.
One of my favorite places.
It's just so beautiful to see the sunset. And I love the midday run or the midweek run to be able to like see other people besides my like work and Max and my sister.
Yeah.
So it's nice to kind of have a social hour in the middle of the week to break it up. And then Saturday mornings we meet and run on the river trail.
Okay. And you do like 3 different distances for that, don't you?
Yeah. Saturdays we have people are welcome to walk at any of them. So you can walk whatever distance you want. And you want to walk for the hour. Saturday mornings we have a 10-mile that starts a little bit earlier and then a 5-mile distance.
I love that.
But every now and then there's people that are like maybe doing 8 or 6 or 4, But
you have that community.
Yeah.
What kind of got you excited about building that?
So being a Nike trainer, I very fortunately get to host 2 events a year where they kind of kit out everyone with like shoes and all the things up to like 40 people. So I've done one before, which was a walk. And then this second one that I did, I was like, how do I get them to do something that's a little more challenging where there's a goal at the end of it? And then that's where we all meet essentially. So we did an 8-week program leading them into a 10K. So there was like a beginner program, people who were intermediate, and then some people who were more advanced runners that just wanted to work on time. So I sent those out accordingly, questioned everyone based on their mileage and all the things. So these girls worked for 8 weeks. And then at the end of it, we all met and ran the 10K together down on the boardwalk and like had a big community meetup. Everyone was in their little matching Nike outfits.
Which they always do so well.
Yeah, it was really cool to be able to do that and like see everybody complete a goal. Some people were like, this is the farthest I have ever ran.
Wow.
Which was it was just like awesome to see people put in the work and for it to pay off. And running is one of those things that there's no shortcuts and it's a day-by-day thing that you have to work at, and it directly pays off. Your results are based on, what you're doing, and for a little bit of stars to align. But yeah. So they got to see like, oh, I worked on this for 8 weeks, and look what I was able to do.
Yeah, that's amazing. Mackenzie, I think that you know very well, because you're in the sports and fitness industry, that most people will never run a marathon. The percentage of people that run a marathon is very, very small. When you look at ultras, it's even smaller. But for people that are in the ultra running community, we feel like it's so many people are running ultras, like all this stuff. And one of the things I really loved, I noticed about you right away when we met up for barbecue is you have such a balanced approach and you seem like you have a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
And the way that you are looking at this, because you're immersed in it. You're fully immersed in it with Max. But what is different about you when I meet other people that come into this community is you don't feel pressure that you have to run an ultra. You don't
No.
feel like this is the end all, this is what we need to do. You're out there training people, like what you just said, who are like, oh my gosh, I could do a 10K, which I think is most people.
Yeah.
Like most people, like if they run as part of their training, it's like 2 to 3 miles.
Yeah.
And it's funny when you get in a group of ultra runners and they're like, oh, I only did like 20 today for my long run. I wanted to do 30. And it's like, we sound crazy,
Yeah.
a lot of the times.
I mean, I have a little bit of like, I'm not easily impressed anymore.
Yeah.
I will say, because Max is so impressive that I'm like, oh, you ran 50 miles? Like, cool. It's just so crazy because everyone deserves a round of applause for doing that. But in terms of getting people to run distance, or just the reason I do this is they're moving their bodies. And I know what a benefit there is to exercise, whether it's walking or running or lifting weights. There's no right or wrong exercise to do. There's exercises that benefit you in different ways, and there are some that the benefits outweigh maybe what the other one has, but it still is someone moving their body and choosing to do something positive. So why not encourage them? I get so many questions having started this run club. So I did that private 10K, and then I was getting so much feedback of like, turn this public. It's so nice to be around a group of ladies, but it's just to get people moving, and no one's worried about pace. No one's asking, no one's even discussing it. It's such a relief. And people have messaged me like, well, what's the average pace? I'm like, everything.
I love that response.
Everything. Everyone, whether they're walking or running or doing both, walk, run, like everyone's welcome.
Every pace.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. It's like, why sometimes the running community especially road running, trail running is a little different. It can get snooty and like, what pace are you at? Or we're only running this pace, or you can't come, which is fine if you're training for something very specific. There have been times where I couldn't run with the group because I'm in very specific training, but
totally,
you still have to be welcoming. Why wouldn't you want people to start running? Like you don't own the sport.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a community sport. We're all born to run. It's like what we're supposed to be doing as humans. So why not encourage everyone to do it?
Why make it inclusive only to certain? Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Every pace.
Yeah, it's
pace
like,
are you running with? Every pace.
Yeah, whatever works for you works for me.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm envisioning this run club to really start growing. I mean, Southern California, we can run like 350 days out of the year.
Saturday we ran, half of the girls were soaked on the way in, and it was like, whatever, we're like, rain or shine, we'll be there. A little bit of adversity never hurt anyone.
Yeah, will toughen us up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it's nice to be around a group of ladies. There are so many run clubs that have men and women, which is phenomenal. People maybe find husbands there or whatever, but I wanted a place that was a little bit safer feeling for girls to go to and just feel like they have a community where they don't have to worry about anything but just showing up.
Yeah, 100%. I totally get that. And I think when I ran my women's fitness, I mean, we did it at 5 a.m. So I was like, you can look as haggard as you want. You can roll out of bed.
None of these ladies care. There's no one to impress.
There's
no one to impress.
Totally. Yeah. So do you feel like with the way you approach fitness, the way that you see running, not Maybe you have a desire to do an ultra maybe down the road. Eddie and I always have this conversation because he just laughs. Like he did his first marathon last year. And I always joke like, please, I'll run a 50K with you. He's just not that impressed by it. And it's so funny hearing you say that because that's kind of how he is even with my training. Like there's nothing I do that he's like, wow, that's amazing. He's just like, yeah, I don't really expect anything different from you. You know, like there's just nothing. But I really appreciate that about him too. Yeah. Like he is so balanced and healthy in the way he approaches just fitness. He's always just like, I want to be strong, so I lift. And if I want to run, then I'll run. I'll do some half marathons. But there's nothing in the world that I could do to make him think that running an ultra is so cool that he has to do it.
Yeah, it is super cool, but at this point I'm like 26.2 miles is hard enough. And the training that goes into it, and then also being in a household where we're both training for an event that's 24 hours apart is quite a lot in our household. Like it's like everything is running right now, and luckily
Yeah.
we're able to do that. But my background is in strength, and my background is I've always ran, but it was always intervals. It was always sprinting.
We were soccer players. I was a soccer
Yeah,
player
it was
too.
like the best.
Power.
I love that type of running, and that's what I'm built for.
Mhm.
Endurance is a whole nother. I'm like,
Unless you have a ball at your feet,
I'm
right?
like slow twitch. What is that? So when I ran my first marathon, which was October of 2023, of course, I'm very inspired by my other half. So I'm, was willing to do that. I think I had ran like 5 or 6 miles. Like that was the most I had ever ran at once. And that was like in May.
No
And then I
way.
trained for a marathon and ran a marathon in October.
That's amazing.
Which was really tough, but at the same time I was like, oh, it's doable. It's very doable. You just have to train. You have to build brick by brick and do all of those things. And I remember I had ran like 13 miles on a random weekend before I had signed up for this. And Max texted me, he was probably at a race or something, and he's like, he was gone for some reason. And he's like, you just ran a half marathon. I was like, well, I ran 10 and I was like, what's 3 more? Like, I'm pretty much there. So
I love that.
So I was like, why would I sign up for a half marathon? I'm just going to run the whole thing. That's where my brain went.
Mm-hmm.
So I ran the full, and here we are doing number 2.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, again, you have a very like healthy, straightforward approach on it where you're like, well, might as well just do a half marathon. Why not?
Yeah.
Run 3 more miles.
It's just, I don't take anything that seriously. It's like something that I'm always caught saying, like, it's just really not that serious. People like take things very seriously or very personally. And I'm like, it's just running. Like,
yes. That's refreshing.
Maybe it's refreshing because, right? Well, I don't have my life depending on it, so it's fun for me at this point, right? You guys have a little bit of a different type of pressure than I do, but it's been great. It's been very rewarding, and I actually Max encouraged me to streak. So we've both been streaking. I'm on day like 3. My marathon is day 365.
Are you serious?
Which was an accidental.
Oh, I love that.
And I'm only doing it for a year. I told Max, I was like, I'll do it for a year and then I'll reassess at that point. And it was really just to get my consistency there and to fight the urge to, I'm not going to run today, I'll run tomorrow. Well, you don't get that option. So I ran at least a mile every day.
It's amazing.
And the mental fortitude has been paid back like over like 10 times the amount that I had before.
Really?
So yeah,
You've noticed that.
For sure. But I'm going to stop after a year. He's like, you're going to throw it all away? Like, are you serious? I was like, it's not that serious.
Yeah.
It's just really not to me. It taught me what it needed to teach me. And my marathon will be day 365, 1 solid year of running every day. Maybe it'll be something else next. We'll see.
You're a very wise woman.
Thank you.
I feel like that's, man, you and Max really balance each other out really well.
Thank you.
How is it that you dove in to that first 200-mile with him, crewing him, getting everything in order? Give us a little bit of background of what that is like when you go into the prep and the role that you take and really how Max depends on you.
Yeah. So the first race that I actually ever crewed him was his first 100-miler that he ever did.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him texting me. It was like, I swear, Sally, it was like a month before he was supposed to be running. He's like, I've signed up for a 100-miler. I was like, okay, like, do you need my help? We weren't really dating then. We had maybe like just started seeing each other. And I was like, do you want me to come? Like, what can I do? And that was my first like experience into crewing. And it was showing up to each aid station and making sure I have maps downloaded and getting to all these places. And he placed second to Jesse Haynes. And I remember this old man, 51 years old. Love you, Jesse. I'm like, who's this guy? Like, holy moly. And so that was my first experience being, at a race that long.
It was here, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one of Kira's races. It was 100.
Was it Malibu?
Samo, the one in
Santa Monica Mountains.
Yeah,
100.
the Samo 100. And he placed second, and I was like, whoa, like he's good at this. Like this is something. Like it would be impossible not to support that. So when Moab came around, I remember I think, is it a lottery? You have to.
Sometimes
Or you have to answer a question or something?
For Moab? I can't remember.
Anyway, I know
because I went in through like the Triple Crown.
Oh,
which is
so him and Sarah Ostazuski were, they both answered the question in the same way. They were like texting each other because it's a 50-50 chance, I think, to be able to get in. I believe it was I believe it was Moab.
Okay.
So they both got in and I was like, here we go. So again, it's a no-brainer for me just knowing the talent that he has and that he'll outwork anyone. So I'm like, okay, how can I help on my end? This is my partner in life. Like, why would I expect him to do it on his own? So we go through the course. That's the first thing. I have to understand what this is and what you're going to be going through. So down to elevation and the mileage and how long I'm not going to see you, all of those things are the first things that I look at. And then from there...
So you didn't get advice from anyone? You didn't...
No.
You just...
No, and we're still learning. We're still learning. It was really just... I also don't want to ask as much advice from crew because... And that's not for me not being humble or whatever. Every runner is so different. So if I ask Eddie, what do you do for Sally? Yes, we have conversations about it, but you and Max perform differently.
Yeah.
And every runner performs so differently. You all need something that's different in terms of your diet. Blisters are all genetic, or it's a skin elasticity. Like there's so much that's so specific to each runner. So if I were to give anyone advice, it would be to know your runner, to know how they race, to know what they need, to communicate with them and there always has to be one person communicating with the runner. If you have a team of 10 people, and all 10 are talking to Max, it's too chaotic. So he talks to me, and then we delegate to the rest of the crew, which is so helpful. So it was more of just going back to Moab. It was going over, what are you going to be experiencing? What's the temperature like? What's the timeline of where we're going to be for each of these aid stations? Timeline's a big thing. Is he going to be in the heat of the day at this aid station? Is he going to be in the night? Does he need cold weather gear? Do I need to take his pulls from him? Is he going to have a climb or not? Like down to those very specific things that I make notes of for each aid station. So going into that aid, I know, okay, he has a big climb coming after this, or it's going to be super hot. We need to send him with extra ice or whatever it is. There's so many things. And then you also learn so much along the way. It's so unpredictable.
Yes.
You may go in with a major plan and your plan doesn't matter.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you can prepare and have everything you need, but your plan doesn't matter. It's going to be a minute by minute, an hour by hour situation.
I love that. One of the things I remember from the film was when Max came in and you were like, I was tearing skin off with the tape on his toe.
Yeah.
But it was crazy because you were so balanced even in that response. You're like, we're not going to mess with that with the next time. You know, he kind of shuffled out of here, but he's going to be okay. Everything else about him is okay. And I'm like, that is the kind of crew chief everyone needs. Someone that's not freaking out and worried and anxious and stressed out, because the runner's already feeling all the pain. They're feeling like the confidence is going to start dipping when the whole entire crew starts freaking out too.
Right.
But you don't ever have those moments.
My emotions matter in the race. And that's something that I have to have control over. And there are moments when I cried, and I'm not going to do it in front of him. Like he has enough to worry about. And we all might be stressing in the background, but when he's there, it's game time and it's focus and it's what does Max need? It's not about me right now. I can handle me in 20 minutes from now. And also just not like he needs something to lean on. He's in the middle of running 250 miles. If I'm freaking out, how is he going to finish his race and have that support system if we're all losing our minds and emotional and not there to give him what he needs? So that's the focus. And I'm very good at just paying attention to that and leaving it at that. And then later on, I deal with my emotions and I have crew to support that or whatever. It's the same as having a partner in life. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. You can't put everything onto one person. No one's going to play every role for you. So at that time, everyone has a role. Max is the runner and I'm the crew chief. That's it. Period. Like that I take care of what needs to be done. So I want him to win and succeed.
That's-
So that's
that's
why my brain goes that way.
That's a wisdom soundbite right there. For anyone that's crewing or thinking about being a part of a crew, I mean, that's phenomenal the way you broke that down.
Yeah.
I think just a little like life soundbite right there, saying how important it is that you understand your emotions, that you can control them, and that you pick and choose how you're going to react and
Right.
when you're going to react. I mean, that's
Right.
really powerful. Where does that come from?
I don't know.
Where do you get that wisdom?
I don't know where that comes from. I think just in general, not wanting to. It's almost like there's a time and place for emotions. And I don't know if that was maybe being a kid of just like, again, picking and choosing. And sometimes emotions can feel like a burden. So to put them on another person is not always appropriate. There's a time and place for that. And I've learned that throughout life of just, there's a time to talk about things and then there's a time to focus on what you're doing. And those emotions, you can always come back to them. You can always like, okay, why was I feeling this way? Then you have time to digest and actually go through what you were feeling rather than just letting it explode in the moment. Because I've been there. I've exploded in the moment before, and it's not a safe place to be. So to be able to just, okay, take a second and I'll deal with this when I have a moment to deal with it. If there is anything, I mean, nothing that powerful comes up during Moab, but there is when Max gets lost and everyone's like praying to the rosary, or we're texting the sister, like, do you have the internet? Because we don't. Like, it's like, there is, but I'm able to focus because I want to support him. He's a very easy person to believe in, and that makes my job easy to focus.
I love that.
Spring is finally here, the sun is out, and the winter is behind us. And if you're like me, you're craving a little fresh energy and focus as the seasons change. Well, Mudwater provides that natural boost. Mudwater is not your average cup of joe. It's a cozy mix of cacao, chai, turmeric, and adaptogenic mushrooms to help you feel focused and balanced, not wired. And if you're a matcha lover, their matcha starter kit is a must-try. It's the perfect way to step into clean energy with matcha's calming, focused boost. My daughter got me hooked on the taste of matcha about a year ago, and I have to say their matcha is the best that I've ever tasted. Another great thing about Mudwater is every single ingredient in their products are 100% USDA certified organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, vegan, and kosher. There's also zero sugar and no sweeteners added. And if you don't want the caffeine, there are caffeine-free blends available too. So, are you ready to make the switch to cleaner energy? Head to mudwater.com and grab your starter kit today. Right now, our listeners get an exclusive deal up to 43% off your entire order, plus free shipping and a free rechargeable frother when you use code STRONG. That's right, up to 43% off with code STRONG at MUDWTR.com. After your purchase, they'll ask how you found them. Please show your support and let them know that we sent you. Keep your energy natural and refreshing all year long with Mudwater, because life's too short for anything less than clean, delicious energy. Over here at the McRae household, Sally is the laundry queen. Partly because she's always throwing in a load of sweaty training clothes after a run or a lift. Well, lately, all of our clothes that she's washed, and I've folded, thank you very much, have been smelling amazing. And it's all thanks to Italian bergamot laundry detergent pods from Laundry Sauce. These powerful pods tackle stains while leaving your clothes with a long-lasting cologne-quality scent. Laundry Sauce isn't just about smelling incredible, it's engineered for performance. And because spring is all about fresh starts, they revive fabrics, making your favorite pieces look and feel brand new. Maybe the best part about Laundry Sauce is that they offer a full money-back guarantee. If you don't get better smelling, cleaner laundry, you get a full refund, no questions asked. And for a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off your entire order when you use code STRONG at laundrysauce.com. That's 20% off your order at laundrysauce.com with promo code STRONG. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. It's time to make Laundry Day the best day of the week.
Growing up in your home, did you have parents that are teaching you these things in life? I mean, do you have events in your life that I just feel like when you're talking about self-control and you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about how to carry yourself, how to be aware, I grew up in a very explosive home. It
Right.
was very reactive.
Right.
And we had a big family. You're from a big family, but it took a while. I mean, when it's all
Right.
and so I think sometimes it is until we're adults and you're like, wait, this isn't healthy, or
Right.
this isn't like a good way to move forward.
I think I was very observant, and I, over time, saw how the reactivity, what the outcome of being reactive is, and sometimes the issues that come with that, whether that was the way that I'm reacting or also years of therapy, if that helps.
Yeah.
But being so observant as a kid made me a little bit more observant in my later life, and really having to go through and learn like, oh, I'm responsible for the outcome of this because of how I reacted. We talked about this earlier in the kitchen of like taking responsibility for my role and how I react to things is very important. And especially in a situation like Moab, when, I want to cry and scream, or, there's something emotional going on. It's not time for that. That reaction needs to be controlled and put into a box for a moment and looked at later. And sometimes it's gone by that point, and it's like, oh, that was just I was tired from sleeping for 2 hours. And that's where it goes. But I don't necessarily think that it was taught to me as sort of just being observant over time, and it's still something that I'm learning. I'm not perfect, but just because of being reactive and not aware of my emotions, my observing of the reactions as I got older is what helped.
That's really powerful. I think that in the further we go in these races, they say it's more about your muscle between your two ears, right? It's
oh my God, I yell that on the treadmill all the time when I'm teaching at Barry's. I'm like, strong between the ears, guys.
Yes,
it's like the most important part.
It is. And so I also see that who we choose to support us out in these races, who we choose to be our crew chief, even our pacer, that goes hand in hand. Because if someone is reactive, they're overly emotional, they're losing their cool, they're totally anxious, and we're just trying to get to that finish line, and we're not feeling good, and we're losing confidence, and we're getting lost out on the trail, which all these things are common. And you see these peaks and these valleys over and over again when people are racing. But I think that we as runners, and I only understood this the older I got in racing, where in the beginning I would just kind of ask anybody to crew and pace me. And I learned some really hard lessons through that. Whereas like that's no.
Yeah.
We need to select like people that actually like understand who we are, how we operate, and that can have control of themselves and their emotions.
Max and I, we've been very lucky because he's really only ran the really far distances since I've been around. But in all seriousness, I know him so well that has been a big blessing for both of us, and able, a reason for him to succeed. Like, I don't want to be the person that affects that in any negative way. So whatever I can do to push him to be successful, it's only going to benefit me as well. Like, why wouldn't I want him to succeed? So I'm able to focus on that.
I love that.
Yeah, and he does the same for me. I mean, we're both in the middle of training for something, and it's like, it's all we can talk about and all we can do, but we're in it together. It is what it is.
Yeah. How did you guys meet?
We met 13 years ago. I worked with a friend of his that was in AA with him. And we were introduced at a young age. He was like freshly sober. Loved him back then, but it was not our time. I mean, he was, it was, he
What
was
was
a
your
mess.
first impression
He was a
of it?
mess. First of all, his hair was like down to his waist.
Was
I don't know
it?
if you know, Max had like really long hair, a lip ring.
Well, I think in The Beach Kid, he does
Show
let
a picture.
people see a picture of him briefly.
You know what? He was very much the like grungy surfer vibe, which I was into, but he was so kind. Like that, the same person that he is now. He's just such a wonderful human being, and I saw
really
that
is.
instantly, and I really liked being around him. But he was a little bit of a mess back then, and we were how old? Like 21, 22, which isn't too young to be with someone, but we both were not in a place to where that would have ever happened. And then we always kind of stayed friends ever since. I had boyfriends in between and whatever. But it's interesting that we kind of led back, that we came back together. I like think about it. I'm like, that's so interesting. Would have never been like what I expected.
How did you find him after all the in between?
So I lived in New York and then COVID hit and I didn't want to be in the middle of Manhattan anymore. It was like a war-torn country. So I called my mom. I was like, I'm coming home back to Newport. It's a little bit of a better off situation there. And I was home for a year. And then I think we messaged each other and we went for a walk in the rain, which I now think about. I'm like, that's so weird that neither of us canceled, that we like still went.
Okay, when we were in Arkansas, did he tell you it just rained the whole time?
Yeah.
And he was saying, he's like, dude, running in the rain's so cool because you're always the main character. It's like, no one gets out and runs in the rain. I love running in the rain.
That's how it started. We were walking in the rain. And then we were just hanging out after that. We climbed Mount Whitney together, which was like a big thing.
Yeah, that's huge.
I remember do you
have a picture of that? Of you guys on top of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have some pictures of it.
We're definitely showing that on screen right now.
I was like, I want to do it. And I was thinking, Max makes everything sound very easy. And he's like, yeah, I've done it like 2-3 times. I've done this route and that route. And I'm like, okay, well, you're the person who I would go with because you've done it, fighting for my life. But we did it. We did it in one day.
Did you?
Yes,
and you
we
did it first attempt.
First attempt, one day.
Every time I've gone up there, I always meet people turning around.
No, we didn't turn around.
I've met people who are like, that's my second attempt. I can't do it. And it's like, I think it's so incredible when people don't know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
And they just go do it.
I mean, there's definitely a time to turn around if Mother Nature is working against you. That's one thing that you should always pay attention to. But I was sort of just like, we're going to do this. And we did it. And we both kind of have that mindset, him a little bit more than me. And we did it. But I had brought in like a full like 2.5 liter bladder of water.
As you should.
And he had his little handhelds. No. It's like, I'll fill up like at the top. We went in November, so there's ice, there's snow. We have crampons on. Like there's no water. Everything was frozen. So we run out of water. And Max till this day is like, you were drinking my water. And I was like, you were drinking my water. We go back and forth. But we're having to like melt ice in the water bottles to get back like on the way down. But we did it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you guys were still just friends then?
Yes, we were always just friends.
What my kids call talking?
No. Max is he shows his affection in different ways. And at that time, I was like, I don't know how this guy like feels about like, are we friends? Like, what's going on? To a point where like after that, we like didn't hang out for a year. I was like, I don't know how this person feels about me. It was like a month or two after that. I got so freaked out because I was like, this is like very real to me, but I don't know how he feels. And we both have a hard time discussing emotions. Being vulnerable is very difficult, especially when you grow up in homes or whatever where you don't feel like you're safe enough to do that. So I think that, not for me to put that on him, but I'm just saying I think that it can be difficult to discuss feelings, period, no matter who you are.
Yeah.
So then I went a while without talking to him. And then I finally was like, I know what's good for me. Like, this is the person. And then we climbed Mount Langley. What's up with us in the mountains? Which this was later on. This is after.
Wild.
This is a year after we had already. Now we've been together like 2.5 years. So this is now a year in. We went and climbed Mount Langley, and that's when I don't know if you were following him that are new. We got stuck in Lone Pine on the way down. He has this old van.
Oh gosh.
We drove the van to Mount Langley.
Van. Yeah.
We went up Mount Langley, and when we got up right as we're gliding into the trailhead, the van shuts off, and we're like thinking it's the gas or the whatever. Who knows what the problem was? We can't get the car on. Finally, someone jumps it for us. So we had just climbed Mount Langley, and then we're sitting there waiting to like get off the mountain.
My gosh.
We start the car, we get halfway down the mountain, and then the car dies. So he's driving down the side of a mountain.
Coasting.
No power steering, no nothing. Like down from whatever Cottonwood trailhead, whatever the hell it is. And he's like, put your seatbelt on. I was like, what do you mean? Put my seatbelt on. We got stuck for 4 days.
No
in
way.
Lone Pine. Yeah. And this is like maybe a year into dating. So like the first year. And we're in Lone Pine for 4 days. There's one little mechanic shop there.
Yes. I love Lone Pine.
We're sleeping in the van, in the mechanic shop, because we can sleep in it, like whatever. And they fix the van, and at one point we drive away, the van breaks down, we drive back to Lone Pine. So because getting car parts was really hard, the closest town is so far away that it's like really
Bishop.
It's really difficult, to get parts. So we end up there for 4 days, and then we were finally able to get home. But it was like a whole, I was like, I guess we live here now. Let's move to Lone Pine. So we've been through a lot in the Sierras.
Yeah.
My gosh.
I love that so
It's crazy.
much. So then what was it? How did it become official? How long?
We till this day have never had the conversation. We kind of were just like in it to win it, and that's just where it is. We're both so not serious people. So it was just, I think I think I want to say a year and a half in or whatever, he just said, "I love you." And I was like, "Oh, yep, I already knew that." And then, say it back. And then here we are. No, of course not. Of course not. But then and that was kind of it. And we've just been, it's just easy. It's so easy. It's nothing that we stress about. We don't think about it. I don't have, like, nothing crosses my mind in terms of like being worried, or it's so easy. So and on top of it, he's such an amazing person, and watching him succeed in the way that he has is so amazing. He was living out of his van when I first started dating him.
Wow, really?
So that van,
and you knew that,
yeah. Which, like, to me, I was like, whatever. Like, it doesn't, that didn't ever bother me. I was like, this is kind of cool. Max would text me like, "You want to go camping
van
tonight?"
Life.
Yeah, it was like, So it was just like I cared about him in a way that, like, what mattered to me was who he was, and watching him work so hard at the dreams. And I think running in general too, watching someone train for something and complete that is a big deal, no matter how far it is. And that's an important quality of his. Like, he'll outwork anyone. And that's something that I saw. And a lot of people say, like, you don't date someone for their potential or whatever. And I'm like, I was dating him for who he is, and he's still that person. He's just succeeded, but that's because of his hard work ethic, and because he's a person that, like, he has that mental fortitude. And it's been so nice to be a part of.
Yeah. That is so beautiful, Mackenzie.
Thank you.
You guys are an incredible team, and
thank you.
It's clear that he admires you so much and appreciates you. I mean, that the response that he gave today when
it's so sweet.
I asked is super sweet.
So
and
sweet.
It's interesting too, because talking about emotions, and I think that's hard for a lot of people. And I think sometimes when they write them, it's a little bit more comes out, which is one of the reasons why I was hoping I would get a text. I didn't think it was going to be that long, but it's always really precious what comes out, because it was just so honest. And I'm excited to see what you guys have in store. I know you have Cocodona coming up.
Yes, we've been prepping.
You guys, you have been prepping. Yeah. What is that like for you? Because it's very clear you have goals and passions. You're very focused and dedicated to what you do day in and day out. You're, even Mac says you're so dedicated to your clients, to, your own business, and now you're training for a marathon. What is that like in the lead up to something like Cocodona 250, where, I know he's aiming for that podium, which is different training.
Yes.
It's a different mindset than I really hope that I can finish this race, which, not that one is better than the other, but there's an intensity that comes with, I want to win.
Yes. Yeah, having my own goals as well as supporting his is a lot. We luckily have the time. I luckily have the time. Less for him, just in terms of, like, my middle of day is open because my schedule allows for it. I train in the mornings and in the evenings. So in the middle of the day is kind of when I'll make lunch for both of us. I go over whatever I need to be doing in terms of, like, my own bookkeeping or my own posts for my social media, whatever I need to do for Run Club. And then also, like, yesterday was me going over the elevation gain of Cocodona during lunchtime. I'm like,
really?
Yeah.
Well, so what was that like? You just sit down at the computer and you just start going over?
Yeah, course by section by
station,
section. It'll tell me like what's coming up. Oh, there's a 9,000-foot gain. So that's a pretty big climb. Max is going to need his poles. We got to mentally prepare. We got to, there's so much. And on the other side of that is going to be the legs. How's he going to feel afterwards? And then also looking at like Jeff Browning's run from last year. So I'm able to pull up Strava and kind of see a rough timeline and all of that. There's a lot that goes into it logistically. And I actually get a lot of messages from people asking me what the prep looks like and what we do and how we do all of these things. And I just do the research. You can download the courses. And again, the most important thing is knowing your runner.
Yes.
And then the next step is knowing the course and knowing what they're getting into. And I don't know it all off the top of my head. I have a book that I bring along that'll show the elevation.
Like a binder?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, here's the notes for this aid station. So I'll take notes, who's pacing, what's going on. So when I'm going into that aid station, everything's right there for me. So I know exactly what's going on. And I don't really consider myself much of a planner, but this is something that I do. I'm more of a fly by the seat of my pants type of person. So I'm okay if those plans change or if timeline's off or something goes wrong. It's problem solving for 200 miles. That's what we always say. It's just problem solving and it's approaching each thing. Okay, what's going on right now? I'm not worried about what's happening at the next aid station or what has gone on before. What's happening right now? Do we need to take the tape off? Do we need to ice? Do we need to sleep? You can't really go in with much of a plan. So the best thing you can do is know the course and know your runner and then go from there.
Amazing.
And have what you need.
Amazing.
Which is a whole lot.
Which is a whole lot. I mean, just getting like all the little drop bags and stuff. Have you guys already started doing
he
that?
does the drop bags. I don't bother with that. But, and I don't even think I think there's only one aid station at Cocodona where he does not see crew.
Yeah,
so
that's what's so great about that race.
So which he was telling me, he's like, there's nothing that will be harder than Moab to crew moving forward. Like that one is so spread out and desolate and like, okay.
Bigfoot, you drive like
Max,
800
you're not allowed
miles.
to run Bigfoot.
Yeah. I didn't even have Eddie go to it. I heard he has to drive 800 miles to crew me. And I was like, no.
Oh.
So I didn't even have Eddie.
That's so wild.
Or the crew, anyone go. Yeah, it was... I had some a couple other friends that decided to. I mean, Joe Corcione paced me for 100 miles.
I was gonna say maybe that may be a race where he gets crew for the second half. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Whatever it is,
you have to pick and choose.
He'd be fine for 100 miles. Anything after that is where you really got to start problem solving and know what's going on because he can do a day without sleep. It's anything after that where it starts to get troublesome for anyone.
Exactly,
which is so wild to say out loud,
right?
Like, okay, you could do like 100 miles.
It is
casual,
but
that's just the way that he runs, and that's how it goes. So all of that prep, he does the bags on his own. I don't really deal with that. He was actually like packing up all the BPN gels. I was like, can you leave me like 6 of those? I need them for the marathon. I was like, they're not all going to Cocodona. I need like 6 of those. He's like, oh yeah, okay.
I have some extra stock here too if you want to take some with you.
So we were, it's just all of that, and then we'll go through gear beforehand. He's pretty responsible for all of his own stuff. It's just in terms of organizing where everything is going to be on me because last year it was a little all over the place. So that's something that I learned. I need to be the one that puts the gear in because I'm the one that's having to find it when the time comes. So if everything's a little more organized by me, at least I'll know where it is. Mm-hmm. And then things like first aid kits and blister stuff and all of that. But we made a lot of mistakes the first time, and I think every race will bring some sort of wisdom.
Yes.
And there's never enough of that, so it's just learning as we go. We don't know close to all that we should know, so it's going to take a lot of time to develop that. But
I think that the mindset that you have is what is needed to succeed across the board. I think the further the distance, it shouldn't even be a focus of how can we perfect this race? How can we nail it?
Yeah.
Because as you were saying, it is about learning to be flexible and to problem solve. So having somewhat of a skeleton of a plan is so good because you're just like, here's the basics of what I need to know about this course, about the runner, of what is necessary. And then choosing to be flexible within that
You have to be. It's someone running 250 miles. Like, no one's going to be, you also don't know how your body is going to react.
Yeah.
Everyone's bodies are so different. And maybe at Moab, he was able to go a certain amount of time without sleep. Maybe this time he'll be able to go more, or he'll have to go less. Like, there's no way to know that until we are experiencing it. And it's the same as running a marathon or any type of running that you do. It's different every single time.
Yes.
It's not going to always feel the same. It's not always going to be the same outcome. It's not always going to be the same pace. There's so much that goes into running, and it's extremely humbling and unforgiving. But that's why we do it.
Yeah.
That's why everyone runs, because there are those days where the stars align and you're like, this is why.
Yeah.
This day right here. Hell yeah.
So true. Yeah, that's so true. It's humbling and also confidence boosting at the same time.
For sure.
Yeah, you learn a lot about yourself and what you're capable of doing, but then it also brings you to your knees when you're like, okay, back to the drawing board.
Yeah. So I think knowing that about the sport and just knowing how it is to be an athlete and how it is to run and what it takes to do all of that and how it is different every single time only helps me in terms of crewing him and what he needs. Obviously, I'm not running major distances like that, so that's something totally separate, but I'm also very aware of like what goes on. I've been to enough races now where I've seen it, or I've watched documentaries and seen what all of you guys do. I pay attention to it because it's going to help me, because maybe your problem is something that Max will experience next time. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. I will have Eddie chat with you a little bit after talking about some of these aid stations. I do agree, though, this is the most crew-friendly of the 200s. It's amazing how much you're going to be able to see them. And me personally, it was my favorite one. I think there's something like when you're running it and you know that your crew is actually being taken care of and they're enjoying it. They can get to a coffee house. They can get food. There's a place for them to sleep. Like the camaraderie too. Like there's way more people around.
Yeah, we were all talking about that the other day.
There's not as much restriction. So you just feel like that you actually then, like Eddie always kind of had like the same people he was with and they check in on each other and like, I don't know. You then, like, I would come into aid stations and that made me happy because I was like, oh, good. He's having an experience too. I mean, it's so hard for you guys. I don't think people understand because they're like, oh, you have all that time to sleep in between. I'm like, yeah, they're stressed out looking at the tracker. They know everything that's wrong with the runner and then they have to navigate to the next aid station and like they have to like do all the reset in the back of the car. I mean, there's a lot that you're doing in between where it's like no crew chief is sleeping for 5 hours at a time.
No,
like it's just, and I think that's what people think is like, oh, good, we'll see you in 8 hours. Like, awesome, you can go sleep for 5 or 6 hours. Like they might sleep for 40 minutes. Like, maybe.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. And I remember when he at Moab had left mile 200 and he was 15 miles behind. We drove back we actually had a cabin at the finish. Max's mom is very prepared and is so good at like handling that side of things because I would just sleep in the van. I don't care. So that's very nice. Like she's able to like do the strategy, like all of that side.
She knows where all the coffee houses are.
Yeah, so I was like able to sleep and I went to sleep. I fell asleep. I was like, I can only stare at this thing for so long. Mm-hmm. And I woke up and he was in the lead and it was just like, I ran out of the cabin, like sobbing my eyes out, like went to find his mom. I was like, oh my God. She's like, I've been awake. And I was like, I finally fell asleep.
Yeah, right.
And I woke up and it was like, I thought I was dreaming. It was so wild. So it's definitely all worth it. There is a lot of work that goes into it. If you are crewing someone, download your map, download the course, download the aid station directions, like all of those things. You never know where you're going to be. A lot of them, it's trail running, so there's no service. You have to have all those things prepared. Mm-hmm. It's kind of all you can do.
Yeah, it's like hit or miss.
Yeah.
But I know when you get to Sedona, you're gonna absolutely love that.
So excited.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The aid station's incredible. Yeah. Sedona's beautiful. Yeah. And there's tons of places to eat and
we were all
coffee.
Discussing this. Billy, one of our best friends, was like, so do I need to like bring food this time? Because we were pretty hungry.
Moab.
We were like, we were doing our best. And I was like, no, we passed through a lot of like towns this time and we got it.
Yeah, there's good places to get pizza
Oh, yeah.
and coffee. Yeah, it'll be really good. I know Eddie
Especially
enjoyed
for
that
Max
one.
too, just like having having
Yeah.
other food.
Yeah, I remember being brought like food from
Yeah.
restaurants. It was really nice. I think I had pizza and chicken quesadillas, and it was
Yeah.
that's
It's
definitely
one thing
a game
he's
changer.
good at. He can eat, which is so I could
It's
barely
amazing.
eat gels while I'm running.
Yeah.
But he's like so good at it. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
one thing that
incredible.
works in his favor.
That's incredible. Well, Mackenzie, what are you working toward right now? Outside of Max, like what are your plans? What are you excited about?
My plans are just getting my community to keep growing. This run club was something that sort of just happened organically. So getting that community built and doing more things like just not just running, but other things like mixing it with a Pilates studio or doing, other types of art classes or something where we can get these women in a social setting that's very safe on top of running, because it is much more than just running. And I hope that a lot of these girls can start to form friendships and find people that maybe they would have never met in their entire life. That was the biggest thing being an athlete. I always say, like in high school, I was friends with so many people that I maybe would have never been ever introduced to if it wasn't for sport. So that's kind of carried into Run Club of like, some of these people I would have never met. Where would I have met them? We have totally different lives, totally different jobs, totally different economic backgrounds and racial backgrounds. And when would I have ever met this person? So it's really refreshing to be around a group of women that, I get to meet for the first time. And I hope to just grow that and make it into something that's much bigger than running. Running is kind of the glue that will hold everyone together because it's hard, and to do hard things together is fun. But that's kind of next on the agenda on top of what I already do.
Yeah. On top of your own personal training business.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'm very lucky. That's a great business. And I have a lot of very loyal clients and people that continuously come back. That's really a word of mouth business, which
it is.
which is great.
Yeah.
And if you do your job well, people will refer you out, which is awesome. So I've been very lucky, and I train mostly women. So it's so much fun. That business, of course, I'd love for it to grow. I think we eventually will go online. Max and I and you and Eddie were talking about this, just to reach more people and keep runners safe and, get the mobility and the strength going. So that's something that maybe we'll start working on. But Run Club is kind of on my main plate at the moment.
I love it. And I know it's going to grow. I know I'm going to be pushing you out. I mean, I think ever since I had the honor of just meeting Max, this is when he was first kind of navigating contracts and a pro career and all of that. And we had good conversation. But, getting to spend a little bit of time with him at the BPN Athlete Week and then in Arkansas and then hanging out with you guys at barbecue last week. We are such big fans of you.
Thank you.
And we've been in this for a long time.
You have.
And we have
a lot to learn from you guys.
but that is the most fulfilling part of what I do. I mean, I've been a coach and trainer for most half my life, I feel like now, but nothing brings me more fulfillment than being able to help others grow. But what I see that you guys individually, uniquely are building, but then also together, it gets me excited because it's good stuff.
Thank you.
It's rooted in stuff that's
we still have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
We'll learn along the way.
Yeah, you absolutely will. But you have a team here, and I love that we're like neighbors. I mean, we
down the street.
It's crazy. So it's so wild. You literally live around the corner from where I grew up.
It's so
yes.
I remember you telling us that.
I needed Mac's address to send to Arkansas because they were sending us stuff from Camelback. So I clicked on it. I was like, wait a minute, I know this street. And I was like,
so crazy.
It is literally a quarter mile from where I live.
Yeah.
Like as a little kid. So I love that.
Yeah.
I love just how things just connect, how the world can feel so small and big at the same time.
Right.
But I think it was meant to be that all four of us link up. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on. I want people to get to know you.
You guys have been so helpful
and,
too.
Oh, man.
I know to Max especially.
It has been, you guys have blessed us.
Thank you.
I want people to follow you.
Yeah.
This episode's going out before Cocodona. We're
Oh, wow.
releasing it on Sunday because
Oh,
we
wow.
want people to listen to it and we want people to follow you.
Yeah.
Mackenzie.
Yeah, I usually update throughout the race. Last time, there was a lot of people following my stories because I kind of update where Max is and what's going on.
Mhm.
And I'll probably make some sort of video after of the crew.
Oh, yeah.
I like the moments that we... I'm like, Max, you're actually like suffering and we're having like the best time because it's, the people that pace him are our best friends and people that I spend so much time with, and everyone is so funny. So it's just, it's unhinged and it's such a good time.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I know you and Max were talking about that at dinner, how fun it would be to make actually a crew video for the channel. Like, I think people would love to see that. So, listeners, we'll make sure we put the links for both Mackenzie's Instagram account, also her website. But like, follow Mackenzie over the weekend. You can root for Max. You can send whatever comments or videos you want. Mackenzie probably won't respond to any of it because she's got a job to do. Yeah. But
I know. I wish there's a lot of people that ask me for advice on crewing, which like number one, we're still learning so much. Like, I don't know everything.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can tell you is to know your runner and
I love
know the
everything
course.
you said.
But I can't respond to so many people. A lot of people ask me about Max, and it's just I can only handle so much.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking especially during the race week.
Oh,
if people are following to your stories, because Eddie's here in the room with us, but Eddie during the 200s when he's crewing and pacing me, I mean, he is in on my channel and then his channel. Yeah. But he's like, Sally, I can't respond to all these people. I'm like, don't. Like, I think people
just know from
they
now,
know that.
I can't respond.
Yeah, but it's great entertainment for me because then he hands me back my phone and I see all these people responding to his stories and I see stories that I didn't know about. So he will hijack my stories and then post himself eating all of my food that's supposed to be for my race or like stuff that he's doing. And it is like my favorite thing ever.
Right.
But anyway, I know that when people are looking at your stories, there's going to be probably people responding, but I think we all understand that you have a job to do. And so we will not expect a response, but I think we
see a lot of kind messages and we're very grateful for them. There's a lot of wonderful people out there that are rooting us on and rooting Max on. And it's like so cool to see.
The community is so amazing. They're so supportive.
And I don't think he quite understands his own reach.
He doesn't.
No. I'm like, you have like the opportunity to like change a lot of things, especially in this sport. So
well, he's changed a lot of lives. I know when he
for sure
shared his story here, it impacted thousands and thousands of people. So there is, we talked about this in the kitchen earlier, but I said, the good, the bad, the hard, all the things in our life are meant for a reason.
For sure.
When we're in it, it doesn't feel like it. When we're in it, we don't believe it. But, I look at Max's story, at your story, and it's so incredible how as we move forward, we start to understand our life a little bit more of why things happen, of
as
why
long as
things
you choose to understand it.
Yes.
That's the hard part, is choosing to understand it. And just knowing that whether you believe in God or whatever your thing is, I believe in God, so that's where my belief goes. But it's all set up for a reason, and it sounds corny to some, but it's the truth. There's so much that has led us, both of us, to this point. Even just my background and what I do for a living now complements what he is doing for a living, and his job and his day-to-day leading him into what he is planning for the future. Like there's so much that has been set up for us, and we've chosen to really look at that and know that even the bad and the good have both led us to this point. So something important to really focus on.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually going to end this with talking about the meaning of your name.
Oh, I wonder. The only thing that I have ever seen is like son of Kenneth, because it's a boy's name.
It is.
Or
like Scottish,
like handsome, like handsome son or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, I really love diving deep. I mean, I've said this before. My daughter's name is Mackenzie.
Yeah.
You both spell it differently,
Right.
just with the C, which
Yeah.
I wish that I hadn't done that because everyone misspells her name. She doesn't have the C, but you do. But yes, you're right. The son of Kenneth, that is one of them. Your middle name is Ann, which is also connected to the name Hannah, which means grace.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, but I dove deep into like the symbol and the clan, the Mackenzie clan. So
Okay.
exactly how your name is spelled. And it's so beautiful because as I listen to you talk, but then also it's so awesome listening how Max thinks of you, his opinion of you, how he looks to you. There's 2 mottos of the Mackenzie clan, and one of them is help the king.
Wow. That's so crazy.
And
oh my God, that's literally making me cry. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Oh
and
my
his
gosh.
last name, I'm not going to go into the story that he said earlier about his last name and what he told you about his last name is it's Jolliffe. And he's such a joy.
He is.
I mean, I don't even know if he knows what a joy is.
Yeah.
But his family line, they were brought in to be like, they were jesters. For the king. And I just thought, oh my gosh, the both of you together, the joy that he brings and the support that you are to him.
So wild.
Is such a beautiful example that the world needs to see. But the other part that I love even more, that's more specific to you, Mackenzie, and I, from the time I met you, it is I shine, not burn.
Oh, wow.
It's so powerful.
That's amazing.
That's you. You shine so bright.
Thank you.
And every time that Max comes into an aid station, you are a light. You are a lighthouse. And you are a light to everybody, whether it's your client, family, friends. You've loved and been supportive of Max since the time he's living in a van.
Yeah.
From the day that you met him when he was getting out of a tough place in his life. And it is not just by chance that you guys are together, but part of just a beautiful plan.
Wow.
And I want you to remember that you guys together, you're more powerful together. And there's so much in store for you. Ed, will you actually give me those flowers right there? So this is crazy because Mackenzie showed up to my house today with a big bouquet of flowers. And I told her, I was like, oh my gosh, these were I love these flowers, sunflowers, and there's purple flowers with them. And then there was some of these little white flowers inside, which these are my favorite flowers because you see these all over the trails in Southern California. And just whenever you're in the wild.
We have so many behind our house.
So many.
The yellow, the white, the mustard, which I learned was mustard from Andy Glaze.
Yes. I love Andy. Anyway, I picked these up for you today because
sweet.
I was just, I was thinking of you and praying for you, but I want you to remember any time that you run, I want you to remember, one, that you have a friend in me.
So sweet,
and that
Sally.
I support you.
Thank you.
But also that wherever you are on the trails, whether that's supporting Max or you're just out on a long run, that you would, if whenever you see this flower, you remember that you have great purpose for your life.
Thank you.
And that you shine so bright.
So sweet,
and
Sally.
So, remember that.
I will. Thank you.
And I just want to say thank you so much for giving your time today on the show. You have blessed so many people with not only just wisdom, but just the beauty of a real strong, supportive relationship and someone that chases their dreams with their whole heart.
Yeah.
You know, Max said that you are the kind of person who shows up wholeheartedly and will do anything for anyone. And I think that's something, if we could all be remembered for anything, that's how you're going to be remembered, as someone that was there.
I sure hope so. That's a great thing to be remembered for.
Well, that is your name.
Thank you.
And so I want to say thank you to you. You're a trainer and coach. I always say to my runners, because there's people still running, people listen to this during their long run and during their races. Is there any good word that you have for them as they run along right now? Anything that you want to say? And it could be silly or wise or a coaching tip. Or
A forward is a pace.
Oh, I love every pace.
Right?
Forward is a pace.
Forward is a
every
pace.
Pace is welcome.
Yeah. Just get it done, guys.
Yeah. That's a perfect way to end it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mackenzie,
Thank you so much for having me, Sally.
Yeah, I
appreciate you.
Thank you for being you. And to all of our listeners, thank you for being here. I encourage you, if you are not already, make sure that you follow Mackenzie Ann Ross on Instagram. You can also find her on her website, and make sure you follow along during the Cocodona 250 this week, if that is when you are listening to this. You can get all of her links in the show notes below. Thank you again for being here, spending your time with us. And remember to keep choosing strong in all you do.